Well, hello. It's Easter Sunday. I'm assuming that this morning or yesterday or something, the Easter Bunny visited you. Is that right? Well, he visited our house too. Oh, look. There's some candy that someone didn't pick up. We had an Easter egg hunt for the kids and a lot of fun. 63 eggs. That was a lot. But of course, you know, Easter isn't about the Easter Bunny, it's about Jesus. And you know, if you were to go to another church or maybe, look online or something, you might see a picture like this about Jesus hanging on the cross. And that's true. On Friday, the day that we were fasting, is the day that we celebrated that Jesus died for us on the cross. But a lot of churches, that's something that's all they remember. There's a famous statue here. If you take a look, that's a statue by Michelangelo, and that's Jesus. Now this is after he was resurrected. If you look really close at his hand, you'll see a nail print. But you'll also see that he's holding up a cross and a rope and a stick. Those were the rope and the stick were what he was tortured with the day before he was crucified. And of course he was crucified on the cross. But if you look closely at this other picture of that same statue, Jesus isn't looking at the cross and the rope and the stick. He's looking directly at us, trying to get us to remember things. But somehow people don't remember that so much. They just remember the cross. There's a very famous church here, you see, and if you look all the way up on the top of that church, as we zoom in, you'll see, what is that? And it's made of gold, but it's a cross. And even if you go to that church that we drive by on the way to our church, the Brown Road Baptist Church, what have they got up on the top of their church? Again, it's a cross. They remember that Jesus died for us on the cross. But if you were listening to conference last week, you heard President Nelson tell us about a new image that we're going to use as a church. It's this one. Now, what does that look like? That's Jesus after he was resurrected, and he's motioning to us to come to him. Now, if we were to look closely at that statue, we would see imprints of nails in his hands and in his feet. When he was resurrected, he kept those signs so that we can remember who he is. But there are other things that help us remember that Jesus is alive and cares for us. Sister McCarty is going to tell you about two of her favorite pictures.
Well, we have a lot of artwork in our house that reminds us of Jesus. One of them is on our living room wall.
Right up here.
We have a picture of the family, we have a picture of the temple, and then on this side we have what's called the Living Christ. It was a proclamation that the First Presidency and the Apostles put out in 2000. And they talked about what we believe about Jesus Christ and emphasized that he is the living Christ. We don't celebrate a dead Christ. We celebrate that he is still alive and still helping us, still there. And all around the outside of that proclamation are different pictures from Jesus' life, service that he gave, people that he helped and that he loved. And so that one means a lot to me. The other one that I really love, that I actually keep it right on the mirror where I get ready in the mornings. And it's a picture of grown-up Jesus hugging his mother from behind. And Mary's older. We tend to think of the young Mary, but she lived to see her son die. And I love the way that he is showing that he loves her so much and he wants to protect her and take care of her. And she loves him, and they just look so happy together, and I love that about that picture.
I've got a couple here too. First of all, there's this one. Now you won't see that in our church anywhere. That's from a church over in, well, you remember last summer when I wasn't there for many weeks, when Brother McCarty was over in Europe? Well, I visited a church there and got this. Now you'll notice that around Jesus' head is what's called a halo, and it's made of gold. And although Jesus wouldn't walk around with something of gold around his head, it is a symbol of, you remember when Joseph Smith saw Jesus in the sacred grove, that he was surrounded by light? Well, that's exactly what this halo here is trying to portray, is that Jesus living is so glorious that if we were to see him, he would shine brighter than the sun. Anyway, I got that over in Europe. I like that one. And this one here is very much like the Christus statue on the New Church symbol, except this one I got as a Christmas present from my son and his wife, but also notice it's carved out of wood, and the kind of wood it's carved out of is olive wood. And you may remember the story about when Jesus went to pray in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was crucified on the cross, that the trees in that garden were olive trees. So this is a symbol of when Jesus prayed for us and paid for our sins. So anyway, those are some of the symbols that we have to try to remember, try to remind us of Jesus living. And we share our testimony with you on this Easter Sunday, that we know that Jesus died for our sins, was resurrected, and is alive today, and that someday you and I will see him. And now we'd like to sing you a little Easter hymn, one that you know from primary, and you can sing along too if you want. He sent his son. Have a good week.